After rolling credits and clocking a total of 50 hours in Obsidian's latest fantasy RPG, Avowed, I found the experience to be sort of a mixed bag. I enjoyed Avowed for the most part, and I think it's a solid game, but it falls short from being a great game, and I definitely wouldn't use the word amazing to describe it either. It shines in some areas and falls short in others, ultimately not meeting its full potential. So I'm gonna break it all down for y'all. All the things that I loved about Avowed and all the things that I didn't. So if you found this review helpful, please leave a like as it helps the channel. Let's get to it. I'm not gonna lie, Avowed's narrative didn't captivate me. It wasn't the highlight of my experience because I didn't find the overarching story and supporting cast of characters all that interesting. Outside of a few great side quest storylines and a few cool choices you had to make in the main quest storyline, Avowed's narrative is not something that's gonna stick with me for the years to come. Without getting into spoilers, Avowed takes place in the Living Lands. You're sent there by the Adirian Empire's king tasked to uncover the source of what's plaguing the land, the Dream Scourge. The Dream Scourge is kind of like a virus, corrupting the Living Lands and all its inhabitants. You're born a god like someone touched by a god at birth, and you have a special connection to the Living Lands, ultimately deciding its fate. Throughout your journey, you're going to encounter different factions, citizens, and the choices you make shape your experience, making everyone's playthrough a little unique, which is cool. I do like that aspect. Will you stay loyal to the Empire or choose a different path after uncovering the truth of the Living Lands? I had a conversation with a fellow reviewer, and he made a lot of different choices than I did. We were comparing the consequences of some of our choices, and the results were pretty interesting. Ultimately, we got the same good ending, which does make me wonder how many endings there actually are. But I gotta give Obsidian credit for the different pathways you can take, especially for the side quests too. There's usually more than one way you can approach them and resolve them. I just wish I formed a better connection with the 4 companions you meet along the way, because since you're a silent protagonist, the other characters gotta carry. I will say the voice acting in the game is very good.
He wants us to run his errands.
I do, Marius. Because I trust you.
So yeah, overall, the story really didn't do it for me, and I'll probably discuss in more detail once the game has been out for a couple of weeks, but for now, I want to avoid spoilers. You know, when Avowed was initially revealed, I had a whole different impression of what the game was gonna look like. Based on the first CGI trailer, I thought we were gonna get a dark, gritty game. Turns out, it's quite the opposite. Avowed might be one of the most colorful, vibrant games I've played. Sure, there's areas in the game that are darker and a bit gloomy, but overall, the Living Lands is filled with color. To Obsidian's credit, stylistically, the game is very unique and original. Avowed is a good looking game with great attention to detail. It may have some inconsistencies when it comes to its interactivity in the world, like when you walk on a puddle or through water, there's no sort of ripples or splashes, or when you walk through tall grass or bushes, you just clip right through them. They don't move at all. Those little details are missing from Avowed, and they're noticeable in the third-person perspective even more. But outside of that, I'm very impressed with the visuals. The art direction is very nice, and there's a good variety of biomes that showcase that. I played the game on PC and the performance is okay. I had to make some compromises on my RTX 4090 Ryzen 9950X to get a nice consistent experience. I couldn't completely max out the game without getting severe frame rate drops, and my PC is pretty strong. I'll leave it to the tech reviewers to cover all the technical stuff because I want to focus on the game itself right now. But I will mention, Avowed does have native ultra-wide support, which is very important to me. Unfortunately, the cutscenes and NPC interactions cut to a 16:9 aspect ratio. The Living Lands is divided into zones. Avowed doesn't have a seamless open world. You're going to experience your fair share of loading screens while traveling between zones, entering cities, secret locations, and caves. The good news is, it's not Starfield level bad where it seems like every door you open is paired with a loading screen. Some people still might look at this as a negative, but it didn't bother me too much in Avowed. There's 4 main zones you can explore in the Living Lands: Dawnshore, Emerald Stair, Shatterscarp, and Gallowayne's Tusk. The map size is decent. Each zone has a good amount of optional side quests, bounties, merchants, treasure chests with gear, and secrets to uncover. Scattered across the Living Lands, there's fast traveling waypoints and campsites. Campsites are where you upgrade your armor and weapons with crafting materials you find in the world and by defeating enemies. You can also access your stash here as well as talk to your companions to get to know them better and their thoughts on the current objective. What I found to be a little annoying with the flow of the game is since you can't make a custom waypoint on the map, I found myself checking the map a little too frequently while exploring. Another quality of life improvement that would improve the game's flow is if workbenches weren't tied to the campsite strictly. I found myself fast traveling back and forth from merchants to the campsite to upgrade my weapons, experiencing extra loading screens when a simple solution is just to put workbenches near the merchants. Overall, I enjoyed my time exploring the Living Lands. As expected from a role-playing game, Avowed includes classic RPG elements. The character creator allows for deep customization, including the choice of a background story that unlocks unique dialogue options. You can equip various accessories that enhance your abilities and progress through a flexible leveling system. Each time you level up, you can improve attributes like might, constitution, dexterity, perception, intellect, and resolve. These stats influence key aspects of gameplay such as your damage output, max health, stamina, attack speed, and resistance to elemental damage and poison. One standout feature is your ability to respec your character at any time. No special items are required, just a small in-game currency fee. Avowed also has a pretty extensive skill tree that caters to a lot of different playstyles. Its flexible combat system is the game's greatest feature. Look, I didn't care so much for the game's story, but the gameplay in Avowed is pretty fire and definitely carried the experience. Unlike many RPGs that lock players into specific classes, Avowed allows for a hybrid playstyle combining melee, range, and magic attacks. This mix and match weapons and spell system works really well. Imagine freezing an enemy mid-charge with a spell before finishing them off with a sword strike, or dual wielding a wand and a pistol. The combat feels responsive with a satisfying weight behind each melee attack. I found this two-handed greatsword that inflicts fire damage when an enemy's health is above 50% and ice damage when it's below 50%. It's so satisfying to use, easily one of my favorite weapons I've discovered. The game has a good amount of spells and passive abilities to unlock. You can also command your companions during combat utilizing their special abilities. In most RPGs, a player's overall level determines their strength, but Avowed takes a different approach. Instead, an enemy's power is based on the quality of their gear. Rather than grinding for experience to grow stronger, you're encouraged to upgrade your weapons and armor. A common weapon can be enhanced to superb quality, and unique weapons can be further upgraded to legendary status. I will say, finding materials can be a little bit of a pain in the ass sometimes in Avowed. For a game that encourages combat flexibility, getting new weapons and armor to superb quality can be a daunting task. About halfway through my playthrough in the 3rd region, I started to notice I was fighting a lot of the same enemies. A whole lot of Zerps, spiders, beetles, bears, and skeletons. Yeah, there's some others, but overall, I think the game kinda lacks in variety when it comes to its enemies, and the boss fights are pretty underwhelming. It's definitely lacking in that department. Doesn't the Pillars of Eternity franchise have dragons? I don't know, I was expecting more grander enemies and boss fights. Overall, Avowed delivers a solid RPG experience with engaging combat and an impressive world, but it falls short from greatness. While its flexible gameplay and vibrant art direction are commendable, the story, character interactions, and enemy variety leave something to be desired. The Living Lands is fun to explore, but the game's structure and design choices sometimes hinder the experience rather than enhance it. That said, fans of Obsidian's work and RPG enthusiasts will still find plenty to enjoy here. With some refinements and post-launch updates, Avowed could reach its full potential. And that's the review, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more quality content. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.